Hi, I am Akash and I will present our recent work, Adaptformer, Sequence Models as Iterative Adaptive Planners. First, let me use a few minutes to start with problem setup and motivation. Despite recent advances in learning-based planners, autonomous systems and decision-making in multitask missions remain a challenging problem. Consider a policy learning scenario where the trained demonstrations is as seen in the figure, a multi-room navigation task where the agent is required to reach to a single goal traversing through multiple rooms. An intelligent autonomous agent must be adaptable to new tasks at runtime beyond those encountered during training. This is crucial for operating in complex environments. This may include avoiding obstacles and learning adaptive skill behaviors such as goal unblocking behavior seen in this figure. Additionally, it needs to understand the implicit sub-goals that are associated with the task as seen in the figure. To address these challenges, we propose Adaptformer, a generative behavioral planner that can generalize to previously unseen tasks and environments. To this end, we adopt offline RL paradigm. In offline RL, we assume we have access to some demonstration collected through a behavioral policy. No further online interactions are allowed. Now, there exists a distributional shift since the policy is learnt only from offline demonstration and new task at runtime is often not observed in all this trained demonstration. To address this distributional shift, several regularization strategies have been proposed, but often these policies are based on conservative value estimations, and the success is mostly dependent on diversity of data. Recently, RL as supervised learning has gained a lot of moment, where they assume access to a set of offline demonstration represented as state action reward tuples and exploit the transformer architecture for its autoregressive behavior. Here, they adopt an behavioral cloning like objective, which treats RL as a supervised learning problem. However, the success of applying these existing sequence models to planning is less straightforward. The typical autoregressive generation procedure adopted in the sequence models do not take into account of sequential refinement of earlier steps, which limits the effectiveness of a predicted plan. The authors of LEAP propose plan generation through iterative energy minimization. LEAP plans a trajectory to a goal by iteratively sampling and minimizing trajectory's energy function estimated with the help of language model. To that extent, during training, the objective is to assign minimum energy values to set of near optimal offline demonstrations. For that, they essentially parameterize a mask language model to learn an energy function, which is defined as sum of negative pseudo likelihood as seen here. Once such an energy function is trained, LEAP generates plan via Gibbs sampling, that is, predicting the energy of alternative action at mass time steps in a trajectory, thus naturally accounting for multimodality associated with the task. A new trajectory is generated using Gibbs sampler with individual action sample based on the energy distribution. By repeating the above steps iteratively, LEAP generates the trajectory with low energy value. We ask the question, can autonomous agents adapt to new environments and tasks not observed during training? Consider the train demonstration here. A single goal reaching task in an environment with open doors. The agent never tries to open a door when we try to adopt the same policy to an maze-like environment with closed doors, since it has never seen a door open action during training. Similarly, now the agent traverses through a multi-room at train demonstration but never has observed and pick up action, and this agent fails to adapt to new tasks that require pickup skills during test time evaluation, as seen here. Additionally, the end goal condition policy sometimes offer very little guidance, resulting in agent getting locally trapped, especially when the goal region is far from its current location. This often leads to the agent never visiting that region of the environment, as seen here with the red box. To address the above challenges, we propose Adaptformer. We assume we have access to some offline training demonstration as described earlier. It essentially comprises of an image, instruction, and trajectory. Initially, we learn a goal augmentation network, which, as the name suggests, aims to learn a goal distribution observed during training. However, this often proves insufficient, as discussed in the challenges, as it may result in stalling actions or agent getting stuck in local regions. To learn an intrinsic sub-goal curriculum and to address the distributional shift, we adopt a GAN-like architecture. We introduce a state discriminator which learns the true state distribution by minimizing the real loss. It is trained to classify real state samples from the synthetic samples that's generated from the policy. This process provides generative feedback, enabling us to learn a sample efficient and diverse state representation. Energy model. Once the sub-goals has been established, we can train our policy to conditionally generate trajectories that lead to these sub-goals. This energy acts as a planning heuristic and provides a measure of quality of generated trajectories and help us framing planning as an iterative optimization process. We additionally introduce a lower bound on the entropy constraint and obtain a dual form of it, which facilitates adaptive skill learning. Empirically, we observe that these sub-goals are assigned lower energy value, making these states more likely to be transitioned into. Now I will briefly go over our training procedure. We initialize our policy as a mask language model. We follow GPT-2 architecture style, and a discriminator here is parameterized with phi as an MLP. We compute the negative log likelihood. This corresponds to the energy function as described earlier. We compute the conditional entropy shown by the entropy regularizer. The guidance from the discriminator on line 7 essentially corresponds to the discriminator losses parameterized by phi. We perform gradient descent that alternates between policy, discriminator, and the Lagrangian multiplier. In practice, we observe that the Lagrangian multiplier eventually reaches zero, and thus the entropy constraint is always satisfied and is lower bound. Now that we have trained our policy, we now proceed to planning. We follow the same Gibbs sampling procedure observed in LEAP, but additionally query the sub-goals and update them dynamically as well. This prevents the agent from stalling in the same state and essentially promotes or provides an incentive for exploration. We evaluate our model on BABYAI and mini-grid environments, which offer a wide range of missions and tasks across a variety of settings. We begin with trajectory planning and navigation tasks, where the policy initially is trained on a single goal reaching task and is adapted to a multitask mission as demonstrated here. In table, we report the success rate of our approach and leap, including a variant of leap without goal conditioning. This comparison highlights the significance of goal conditioning. Notably, in smaller environments like go to local, leap struggles with a lot of stalling actions and takes longer to reach the goal. In contrast, our goal augmentation module prevents agent from stalling. Since both the models are iterative planners, they are also able to adapt to stochastic environments, where we essentially map the left and right actions to other actions with uniform probability. Our model still performs equivalent to that in the deterministic counterpart. Leap shows some improvement in small environment as all the stall actions from the deterministic environment are now mapped to random action. However, this improvement is not observed in maze-like environments. We also train our policy with random demonstration and then deploy that in a multi-room navigation task where the door opening action wasn't essentially observed in trained demonstration, and hence Leap never tries to open a door and always fails the task, whereas ours, on the other hand, succeeds 71% of time. In addition to navigation tasks, we also perform instruction completion tasks where it additionally involves a pickup or a key collection task which has to be performed in certain sequence, like the key must be collected before opening the locked door. We see our model performs on par with Leap in all these tasks. We measure the success rate as a function of number of training demonstrations. Here we observe a constant growth up to 500 demonstrations. Beyond that point, due to lack of guidance and the distributional shift involved in training and the runtime deployment, the learning curve flattens. We also present qualitative results of ours at Leap in trajectory planning. where we observe our model gracefully adapts to closed environments and multi-goal missions, as seen here. We also perform such qualitative experiments in instruction completion tasks, where we see our agent essentially adapts to novel goal unblocking behavior and is able to adapt to multiple goals as well, whereas Leap is essentially stuck inside the single room. We deploy our policy on Agile bot and we observe it gracefully adapts to unseen environments and multi-goal missions, as demonstrated here. To summarize, we propose Adaptformer, a generative behavioral planner that can generalize to previously unseen tasks and environments. Thank you.